Mental health for teens: understanding, supporting, and empowering adolescents. Introduction. Adolescence, typically defined as the ages between 10 and 19, is one of the most dynamic and sensitive periods in a person's life. It is a time when the body undergoes profound transformation from childhood to adulthood, not only physically, but also mentally, cognitively, socially, and in terms of future self-direction. While adults can easily observe the physical changes in a growing child, the deep and complex mental shifts taking place within a teenager are often overlooked or underestimated. In recent years, adolescent mental health has become a topic of urgent concern among global health organizations, psychological experts, educators, and society as a whole. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, around 14% of teenagers worldwide suffer from mental health disorders, ranging from mild issues like anxiety, academic stress, and insomnia to more serious conditions such as depression, behavioral disorders, and even suicidal ideation. Even more alarming is the fact that the majority of these cases are either undiagnosed or not treated in a timely manner. Many adolescents struggle in silence, overwhelmed by negative emotions, without knowing who to talk to. Or worse, they are not trusted, not heard, or not given the support they need. So why is adolescent mental health so vulnerable? The answer lies in the very nature of this developmental stage. Adolescents live in a gray zone, no longer children, but not yet fully adults. They crave independence, self-expression, and recognition as unique individuals. Yet at the same time, they often feel lost, insecure, and directionless, especially when facing pressure from school, parental expectations, the influence of social media, identity crises, and the complexities of peer relationships. The explosion of technology, the rise of social media, and the fast pace of modern life have all amplified the stress burden that teenagers bear. The perfect images on social platforms inadvertently become toxic benchmarks for self-worth. Academic performance pressure, high parental expectations, or online bullying and criticism can cause teens to gradually lose confidence in themselves. Additionally, cultural factors present a significant barrier to accessing mental health care. In many cultures, especially across Asia, discussing negative emotions or seeking psychological help is still considered shameful, a sign of weakness. This stigma prevents many teens from opening up about their real feelings, for fear of judgment or social exclusion. Meanwhile, adults, whether parents or teachers, often lack the knowledge, time, or sensitivity to recognize early warning signs in these young individuals. For all these reasons, the topic mental health for teens, understanding, supporting, and empowering adolescents is not only timely but also crucial for the future of our younger generation. It's a call to action for the entire community, from families, schools, and the healthcare sector to the teens themselves, to come together and build a psychologically healthy, empathetic, and supportive environment. In this article, we will explore 3 key pillars. Understanding, the first door to walk beside adolescents. She's been acting strange lately. Comes home, shuts her door, and won't talk to anyone. He's so quick to anger these days. His grades are dropping, and he's glued to his phone. These are not rare complaints from parents of teenagers. But what often lies beneath such seemingly rebellious, moody, or defiant behaviors may actually be silent cries for help, signs of an inner world struggling through intense changes. Understanding adolescence goes beyond sympathy. It requires a scientific, non-judgmental lens. Mood swings, social withdrawal, excessive sleep or insomnia, emotional outbursts, or even emotional numbness. These aren't necessarily signs of laziness or rebellion. They can be natural outcomes of the complex changes occurring in the brain, hormones, and emerging psychological identity during this developmental stage. Brain development, the foundation of behavioral change. Neuroscience shows that the adolescent brain is undergoing a major remodeling phase. The prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logic, impulse control, and decision-making, is still maturing. Meanwhile, the limbic system, the emotional center, develops more rapidly. This imbalance often results in teens acting on emotion rather than logic, being highly reactive, easily influenced by peers, and making impulsive choices, even though they may look grown up on the outside. Common mental health challenges. At this age, mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, behavioral disorders, or body image issues often develop quietly. Many teens constantly feel not good enough, especially when comparing themselves to the curated perfection on social media. This self-doubt can lead to eating disorders, depression, or self-harming behavior. In some cases, behavioral problems like lying, skipping school, fighting, or video game addiction are not just bad behavior, but rather the teen's way of coping with feeling powerless, neglected, or overwhelmed in a stressful family or social environment. 1. Risk factors. Several factors may increase a teen's vulnerability to mental health challenges. Genetics, a family history of depression, anxiety, or other mental disorders. Unstable living environment, family conflict, domestic violence, or lack of emotional connection. Academic pressure and unrealistic expectations from adults. Psychological trauma, bullying, abuse, bereavement, or sudden changes in life circumstances. Eyes, early detection, a crucial step toward support. Recognizing the early warning signs is vital for families and schools to offer timely help. Some red flags to watch for include sudden changes in behavior, emotions, or academic performance, social withdrawal or loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities, frequent complaints of fatigue, headaches, or stomach aches without clear medical cause, negative self-talk or unusual mentions of death or dying. 2. Supporting, when understanding must turn into action. Recognizing the psychological changes that adolescents go through is only the first step. The bigger question is, what do we do next? Many parents and teachers, upon noticing signs of emotional distress in a teenager, may react with anxiety. Some rush to scold, others stay silent for fear of making things worse. But on this journey of supporting young people, no action is more harmful than indifference. Psychological support for adolescents is not merely about advising or correcting behavior. It is a patient process of building trust, emotional safety, and meaningful connection. It means adults must learn to listen without interrupting, without judging. A gentle question like, "How did you feel when that happened?" can be far more healing than a reprimand like, "Why did you act that way?" Safe spaces. Soil where the soul can breathe. One of the most valuable things we can offer teenagers is a safe emotional space. A space where they know they won't be mocked, compared, or scolded for expressing their true thoughts. This safe space can start right at the family dinner table, in a quiet corner of the classroom, or even in the empathetic gaze of a caring adult. In schools, building a culture that supports mental well-being, where teachers are trained to recognize and respond to signs of distress, and where students are encouraged to speak openly and respect differences, acts as a crucial shield against emotional crises. P. Support models and the role of adults. Many forward-thinking schools have begun adopting mental health support models, such as counseling rooms with trained mental health professionals, social and emotional learning programs, peer group sharing sessions designed for safe emotional expression. However, even the best model means little without the consistent involvement of parents and educators. Parents need to observe patiently, adjust expectations, keep communication open, and make daily conversations a norm, not just when something's wrong. Teachers, in addition to academic knowledge, must be equipped to identify signs of stress, isolation, or mild depression in their students. Beyond that, the presence of a kind friend, a thoughtful mentor, or a professional therapist can be an extended lifeline that helps young people find their footing in times of struggle. Small acts, big impact. Sometimes a simple, sincere question like, "How have you been feeling lately?" can be more powerful than an entire lecture. A timely hug, a sticky note left on a study desk, or a quiet walk together can soothe wounds that seem too heavy to express in words. Most importantly, be patient. Supporting the mental health of adolescents is not a quick-fix remedy. It's a long-term commitment that calls for patience, compassion, and unconditional love. 3. Empowerment. When young people are trusted to take charge of themselves. Last but certainly not least is empowering adolescents, so that they are not merely passive recipients of care, but active participants in understanding, maintaining, and protecting their own mental health. After all, who can understand the emotions of a teenager better than the teens themselves? Who else can truly feel those vague anxieties, unspoken impulses, or sudden pangs in the heart that adults often can't name? Empowerment is not about letting go. It's about trusting young people with the message, "You are capable," while assuring them, "We are here whenever you need us." Brain self-awareness, the foundation of lasting mental health. Empowerment begins with helping teens recognize and name their own emotions. Many students share that they don't even know what they're feeling. Is it sadness, worry, anger, or just emptiness? Emotional literacy teaches them to ask, "What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way?" And from there to learn how to regulate their emotions rather than being overwhelmed by them. When teens understand what's happening inside, they feel less confused, less broken, a word many have used when describing their struggles with mental health. Boost building skills, strengthening positive coping mechanisms. Adolescence is a turbulent time. Academic pressure, parental expectations, confusing social dynamics, and constant internal changes. That's why life skills and coping strategies are not optional. They are essential. These skills don't just come from textbooks. They grow through real-life practice, such as keeping an emotional journal to help teens listen to and reflect on their inner world. Practicing mindfulness, grounding them in the present, allowing them to observe emotions without judgment. Engaging in physical activity or sports, releasing stress through movement while boosting happy hormones. Participating in the arts, painting, music, poetry, or dance become channels for creative emotional expression. Connecting with positive communities through healthy friendships, school clubs, or volunteer activities where they feel seen, valued, and connected. When a teenager realizes they can manage part of their emotional world, that they have choices in how to respond, and that they can actively care for their own mental well-being, they no longer feel like victims of circumstance, but like authors of their own growth. Plant asking for help, a sign of strength, not weakness. One of the most common misconceptions among youth is, if I see a therapist, it means I'm weak. This needs to change. Knowing when to seek help and having the courage to ask is actually a sign of maturity, self-awareness, and self-respect. Empowerment isn't just about telling young people you can do this, but also teaching them, and when you can't, it's okay to ask for help. When empowered the right way, teens don't just survive crisis, they grow stronger for the future ahead. A mentally healthy generation is not built through overprotection, but through trust, encouragement, and guidance, helping young people step by step toward becoming confident caretakers of their own mental well-being. Closing remarks. When caring for mental health becomes the most practical and compassionate action. Mental health is not a luxury. It is not a personal issue that someone must silently bear alone. It is the foundation for living a full life, learning effectively, working with inspiration, building healthy relationships, and finding meaning in everyday living. For adolescents, the age group taking their first steps into adulthood where everything is still unclear, pressures are steadily increasing, and emotions are often in a state of passing before they are understood, caring for mental health is not just a humanitarian concern, but a long-term, sustainable, and humane commitment to society as a whole. We live in an era where mental health is no longer taboo, yet understanding and concrete actions are still lacking. Many adults still don't know how to start conversations with their children about emotions. Many teachers are not trained to recognize signs of psychological stress in students. And many adolescents, despite having more knowledge than ever, still feel suffocated by loneliness. So, where should we begin? Perhaps not with grand programs or sweeping promises, but with small, sincere actions. A non-judgmental look when a child shows signs of being different. A conversation after school that doesn't just ask, "What's your grade today?" but "How are you feeling today?" A school environment where teachers are not just lecturers, but also create safe spaces for students to dare to be themselves. A family where emotions are listened to as an essential part of life, not a weakness to hide. We cannot change the world overnight, but we can change how we listen, how we respond, and how we accompany each other. We can start with one individual and gradually spread to a classroom, a school, a community. Because mental health belongs to no one person alone. It is everyone's responsibility and an opportunity for us to become kinder, more humane. Let us open honest dialogues together, build living spaces where emotions are respected, differences accepted, and help always available. This is how we give the younger generation not only a peaceful youth, but a future worth living, where they grow up not only physically healthy, but also strong in spirit.